fuck? It's your boy Tyler. And Larry, you were trying to do it on your stream, and it wasn't that bad.
You know, it's catchy. That's what I said on my stream. I said, you know, that is catchy because, and I know it's catchy. It wasn't that bad. Yeah, well, you know. Oh, I'm hearing myself. Hold on.
No, you're good. I actually I heard myself as well, so I had to mute it. It is catchy, and I didn't really realize I was doing it until you pointed it out one day.
Well, I mean, I think you just did it as a, you know, like how sometimes people say something, they just throw it in a high-pitched voice because it sounds funny or something. And then, you know, I noticed that you started using it a little bit more often. And here's the thing, though. You know when something works? When other people find themselves doing it, right? So, like when you come on, I'm like, oh, it's draw talk. Like, you got me with it, you know. And sometimes that's what you need for like a little bit of YouTube success. You know, like if you look at other channels, you know, they'll come in with the same sort of opening, like, you know, Keemstar for Drama Alert, right? Let's get right into the news, you know. and you find yourself fucking saying it along with them, you know, the Great Legend Show. This is the Great Legend Show, and I'm coming at you live, right?
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
it's true. So yeah, I gotta thank you for making because I continue to do it because you brought it to my attention. You made me aware of that. It was catchy. Real quick, I want to acknowledge those who are in the chat. We got Kawhi Ali saying "Furt Gang," Kinma Amnik, how what's up? We got Willie Thomas and we got Arnold Lopez saying graham crackers. Real quick, guys, if you haven't checked out Demons Volumes 1, 2, and 3, the link is currently in the description, and I will put it in the chat as well. We got 21 days left to get the final 50% of this campaign. So please go check it out. There's a tier for you, and it's a good story. And you know, if you can't afford the physical books, $22 gets you 3 graphic novels, ebooks that I will send to you. So yes, but guys, we have a very interesting topic to discuss. Larry brought this up to me, and I know Larry is very passionate about this subject, and I'm somewhere in the middle, and we're just gonna have a good discussion. So the discussion is we're talking about cancel culture, and more specifically J. Scott Campbell, whether his art should be canceled, and I guess why it's being canceled, and you know what our opinions are on it and such. And we'd love to get your feedback as well. One thing I will just say straight up right now is I don't think that art in any form should be canceled, unless it's like spreading straight up hate. But even then, I'm someone who thinks that we need to have all kinds of art and let the consumer be objectify it. If it's evil, the human race will decide whether it's evil or not, and then we'll say, hey, you know what, get lost in that person, will get lost. But I don't think we should cancel someone. So
you just started off with a heavy statement right there, you know.
Yeah, but I don't. And well, let's just get into this. So if you guys are unfamiliar with J. Scott Campbell, I'm going to throw up some of his art right now, and then after that, we'll bring up. I have a bunch of his tweets of what happened. I brought up to this. If you're not figuring out what he's really good at, he's good at the babes. He's good at drawing women. That's just his signature. I do, however, think that he's also amazingly good at drawing men. People don't give him enough credit because he typically draws mostly females, but I do think his men are baller. Like, look at that Wolverine. That is sick.
Yeah, you know, this is where his women are better than his men, right? I'm just going to come out and say that. Now, that Wolverine picture is awesome. But sometimes his men look a little weird to me, you know, and I definitely enjoy it, you know, when he does, you know, the pinup sort of art, maybe a little bit more than, you know, his drawing of men. Like, click on that Magneto one.
Oh, frick. Oh, right here.
So this is from X-Men.
That looks good.
Yeah, it's good. But it looks this, you know, like his women stand out. His men look like, you know, something that Jim Lee could have drawn, or, you know what I mean, someone else. But his women, the reason why his women stand out, you have to look very close. Is not only the curves, but the face, the way he draws eyes, and the way that they smile, and they almost have like this very sort of flip. Click on that Gwen Stacy one where she's opening up the hood. You know, they almost have this like, you know, definitely a signature style. Like if you look at something,
it's very Disney. I've heard him say that. It's very Disney.
You know, and it's no different than saying when you look at Michael Turner and his women. You know, Michael Turner is also known as a guy who can, you know, draw the ladies, if you will, and his signature is very. As soon as you see it, you can go, "Oh, that's a Turner piece." As soon as I see a J. Scott Campbell piece, especially when it comes to the women, I can go, "Oh, that's a J. Scott Campbell piece."
Very, very easily. How I will say, and Jay Espen said this in the chat, that J. Scott Campbell suffers for with this is Arnold Lopez, same face syndrome.
Yeah, that's a criticism he gets. But if you look at most people's art, right, you can say that almost about anybody.
That's true. I actually thought of Michael Turner. I was like, you know what? All of his women pretty much look the same. It's the faces. Even my faces look exactly the same for the most part. I try not to, but it's sometimes difficult.
So, Tyler, let me ask you this. Let's start off with this.
Let's do this.
What's the first time you ever remember seeing a comic book that featured any sort of art from J. Scott Campbell? And I don't mean in recent years. I mean like as you were young Tyler, you know, growing up in the 90s, if you will.
Well, you have to remember that I got into comics when I was 20.
All right. So let's start with that.
I think the first time I think it might have been a Zenoscope.
Okay.
I was learning about comics. I was browsing around, and obviously my male gaze saw some nice boobies, and I went, "Wow, this is a very nicely drawn woman."
Did you purchase said comic?
I didn't purchase the book, but I definitely stared at all the covers.
So for me, it was when he started doing work on Gen 13, right? And you know, the image era had boomed upon us, and J. Scott Campbell got his start basically through Jim Lee. And so Jim Lee had placed an ad because he needed more talent because Image was growing as a company, and he needed people to kind of help him out with art duties. And J. Scott Campbell, who had been practicing art for a while now, he was very interested in animation. You know, he wanted to start his career by doing animation for Disney, and this is where the Disney influence comes into play, right? So he would practice this very cartoony Disney-esque style. You know, the things that you would see, say, from Little Mermaid or Jasmine from Aladdin. You know, that sort of style and grace, if you will, right? And so Jim Lee had placed an ad, and it might have been in Wizard magazine. You know, a better comic book historian would be able to tell you that. But he placed an ad, and J. Scott Campbell had answered said ad and sent them some samples, and was pretty much hired on the spot. He was offered a job. He had to move, go to where Jim Lee's studio was, and become an intern for Jim Lee. And that's how J. Scott Campbell got his start in comic books. And so he was working on Gen 13, but he also, you know, obviously did Danger Girl, right?
Yeah, yep.
And so Danger Girl and Gen 13 was really like, there's a Danger Girl picture right there underneath that Shayna one you just clicked on. Yeah, right there. This is where really he got noticed. I think in my eyes as as an artist who, let's call it, what it is, a cheesecake sort of style, But,
yeah.
But this is before he blew up, right? This, like, everyone knew he was kind of cool. But this is before, he is like, running his own web store and has his own exclusives, and he only draws covers. Because when J. Scott Campbell started, he wasn't just a cover artist. The guy could do interiors, and the interiors were just as cool as what you saw on the front of the book, right? And so he was drawing interiors for Gen 13 and Danger Girl and whatever else they had him work on. And this is really what kind of launched him into the comic book stratosphere, if you will.
Well, here's the thing that that and I started laughing because Justin's in the chat. He says, "What's up? We talking boobs?" Yeah, kind of. And we got Massive Panda in the house, Durkin, and Christopher C as well, and Leighton Watson.
Oh, we're getting some peeps in this one.
No, we got 18 people, which is awesome. Really glad that you guys are here. Let us know your input. One thing I think we forget about comics is the fact that comics aren't real. If you believe that they're real, you need to like get out into the real world and realize that comics are it's escapism. It's about experiencing things that you will never experience in your life. So, for example, you will never experience Wolverine, an Avengers attack, like a superhero villain attack in the real world, where buildings are just being collapsed by one evil supervillain, and there's going to be an army of superheroes who are coming to save the day. These things are never going to happen. Okay, mermaids like we have right here are never going to happen. Okay. And so with some people's escapism, they want to experience things that they're never going to experience. And let me tell you something. I'm never going to experience a topless mermaid like this who's looking sexy. Never, ever. But you know what I can do, Larry, is I can buy this book and I can read it and I can pretend that it's happening for a second.
I'm so glad, dude, that you actually picked out this cover. Because
it's a good I just saw a belly button and I was like, I like this.
Well, I mean, the thing is that this is a title done by a company that's called BDI. You'll see it right at the top of the logo there. So that company is called Big Dog Inc. and it's run by a guy by the name of Tom Hutchinson. And Tom
is your friend.
He's a good friend of mine. Well, I wouldn't say good friend because we never met in person, but he's a friend of mine from the internet on Facebook. And I talk to him maybe about once a week, and he's been in the comic book game for a long time. He does books like Critter, Penny for Your Soul. They were partners a while back with Aspen Comics. That's the company that Michael Turner had started. And so, I mean, J. Scott Campbell has worked with Tom Hutchinson, and I think that's very cool. J. Scott Campbell has done a number of covers that just didn't grace Image, Marvel, or DC. He's worked with, maybe you can consider the underdogs, if you will. Guys who are coming up. He did a cover for this title. I think it was called Bubble Gun, if you remember that. That was a pretty funny comic book. So I'm glad you picked that up because I love Tom. And I know Tom Hutchinson, he's a creator, that has a lot of pinup art on his covers, right? So, most of his comics feature, female characters, just like, I kind of feature a female character with NYOBI. And J. Scott Campbell, just to throw it out there, people ask me who my bucket list artist would be to do a cover for NYOBI. If I could only pick one person in the entire world, who would it be? It's this man right here.
This girls don't wear this, guys, in public. I know there are a couple cosplayers you think that do. They don't. They take pictures in these. These people don't exist. And so when people get so angry that he's drawing these sexy girls, well, get angry at also all like the porn stars who are or all the Instagram models. No one's getting angry at them.
Well, it's probably coming though.
Yeah, it is probably coming, but like no one is getting. Oops, sorry about that. No one's getting angry at them, and you're right, it is coming. But this brings me. I mean, this is come on. I mean, the westerns, sexy Western girl. Yeah, let me get to the comments real quick, and then I have a point of discussion then to bring up with you, Larry.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to go so many different ways, and I got stuff I want to show. And we only got an hour, so let's get to it.
I know. All right, so let's see. We got Christopher C saying, "I don't know. I've been spanking into my fish tank for years. Fingers crossed." Juke Joint saying, "Batman isn't a real dude. We got to leave this world behind." I read this somewhere before, but with all the billionaires in the world, not one of them became Batman. Derrican says, maybe you will never experience a hot topless mermaid, but I expect to live in the age of genetic engineering. El Guapo's in the house as well. And Leighton Watson says, Drawn Talk, same face syndrome is common, but I don't think it should be encouraged. Shouldn't we push artists to change up their style? It's my love-hate relationship with Hiro Mashima. Yeah, I think every artist should push themselves, but at the end of the day, I know that everyone's always like, Tyler, your faces look like you. Well, it's because I look at myself every single day. If Larry were to draw him like his face every single day, it would look like him. And then real quick, while we got 20 people watching, guys, in the link in the description, go check out Demons Volume 1, 2, and 3, currently on Indiegogo. We're 50% of the way with 20 days left. You can download the first 20 pages for free. And if you think that this is a story worth your money, you can get either for $22 every volume, over 300 pages right here in PDF form, or the physical books for $75, and you'll be getting them around January, all 3 of those books. So now I present to you.
Go back to that Medusa. Go back to that Medusa right now.
What Medusa?
Oh, dude, just hit the back button.
Right here?
Yes. All right. This picture, dude, okay, like if we want to get right into the controversy, this is the picture that set Twitter off, okay? And he didn't even draw this picture. And that's the thing. He didn't draw this picture. I forget what the artist's name is. I'm sure it's there somewhere.
But it's not him. I can instantly tell.
I can instantly tell this too. But there was someone on Twitter, I forget their name, and I don't want to know their name, went ahead and posted this picture up. And she said, something to the effect of, men should not be allowed to draw women. Okay, this is how the controversy started. And then she went ahead and posted a few different sort of cheesecake pinup pictures, and like 3 of them happen to belong to J. Scott Campbell.
So here we go, right here. Here it is. And again, men are trash and shouldn't be allowed to draw women. Right here. Right.
And so, here's like this Medusa, obviously, yeah, she's looking pretty smexy there, isn't she? And so, there's a section of the population, if you will, that doesn't like this sort of thing. The main criticism that J. Scott Campbell is getting is that, it's misogynistic, it's sexist. Real women, don't look this way. One of the, common sort of things you'll see these people post will say that, his women don't have organs. Where are the organs? And no one could, ever, look this way. And, and I get that point of view to a certain degree, right? Because here's the thing, Tyler, art is subjective. Art is beauty to the beholder sort of idea, where I can look at a piece of art and go, yeah, I really like that art. You might look at the same piece of art and go, you know what? No, that's not for me, right? So I can understand a section of people saying, you know what? Yeah, I don't like this sexy sort of art. Cheesecake art doesn't do it for me. And there's lots of people that collect comics that feel exactly like that. But there's also a section of the population that really, really love it, and those people want it, and those people are willing to pay for it, right? And where we get this tweet where no men should be allowed to draw women, I don't know if they literally meant every single man or just the men that they don't like or the style that they don't like. Context is sort of important here. But just coming out with that, is, well, hey, it was a little bit childish and immature to do. It sounds, obviously men are going to draw women, men are going to draw women, and men are going to draw women how they want to draw women, whether it's, your sort of taste or not.
Men are, I don't, no offense to anyone here, and let me tell you that my weight isn't where it probably should be. But I draw men with 6-packs. Why? Because that's what I want. That's what my ideal body is. So when J. Scott Campbell is drawing these women, he's thinking in his mind, what is ideal to look at?
Well,
and to an extent, have you seen his wife? She's beautiful.
She is. So now we're talking the argument about fantasy versus reality, right? So,
these are cartoons. He said that these are cartoons.
Yeah, and so it goes back to, well, real women don't look like that. So in one of these tweets, and I'm not sure where in the list there's this Mary Jane cosplayer, okay? who sort of jumped on the bandwagon
Jeez
about this.
Louise.
Yeah, there's so much in there. We could spend days covering, the pros and cons of this. But she said, that every time she looks up a Mary Jane image on the internet, that 90% of them are done by J. Scott Campbell. Okay. And she was like saying to him, and he had a little back and forth with her on Twitter. They had a conversation, and I was reading it, and she was saying something to the effect of, well, again, women don't look this way, they're exaggerated, just really harping on him. And he was defending himself and his style, and he was trying to be nice about it, and kind of take what she was saying into consideration, but also sticking up for himself to a degree.
Mhm.
And he said, well, what would you like to see? And she said, well, I like to see you draw Mary Jane who looks more like me, because I'm a Mary Jane cosplayer, right? Well, that's not quite how it works. That's a weird road to go down if we have to draw these characters to look like the people that want to portray them. That argument made absolutely no sense to me. The thing is that everyone's going to draw these characters their own way, in their own style. And again, it might be a piece of art that you like, and it might not be a piece of art that you don't like, but everyone has a right, to do this underneath, Canadian American law, most places in the world where you have freedom and stuff. But this is where the freedom comes into play, whereas if you don't like something, you don't have to buy it.
You don't. And here's the thing: when we were talking about this off air, is I've never bought anything by J. Scott Campbell.
Well, why is that anyway? Like, give me your, I obviously am defending J. Scott here, pretty hard, but throw it at me, man. Throw me your.
Well, currently I have a hard time buying a comic like this and then showing my wife.
Okay, that's a valid criticism, all right? And yeah, I mean, if I had a wife and she felt uncomfortable with that sort of thing, that you definitely have to take that person's wishes into account, especially if you're living with them and this is your soulmate. Maybe you don't want to make them feel insecure because you're buying these sexy covers and they feel inadequate because you rather look at them than opposed to look at her, sort of thing. And I completely 100% understand that.
But I typically I come from comics in a way of I buy comics for the story, not for the covers or the collector stuff. And so typically if I see a J. Scott Campbell cover, I think it's cool. Like, I follow him on Instagram. I love everything that he does. I think his artwork is great. But I typically buy things for the value in it. And I don't think just having his artwork like in my hand is like worth it for me. Like, I'd rather have like a good story inside of it, because most Marvel things I typically don't buy because I don't like most Marvel stories.
I think we should go back to your chat, Tyler. It's starting to pile up here. What are the people saying?
Well, one of them was Jay Espen saying, "Not true. Your zombies, talking about Undead Row, looked a little bit chunkier, and that's because I was modeling myself in them. So that's why they didn't have six packs." Lakam Amir says, "Don't know if this has been said. The biggest hiccup was a girl complaining about his female anatomy and didn't know she had his art as her avatar." I remember seeing that.
That's 100% completely true, and he even retweeted that out.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. One thing that I do have to bring up, that I wanted to ask you is this tweet when he says when someone says these are all teenage girls 15 to 17 drawn by the same grown-ass man. Y'all can see why women are comfortable with that. So I don't care that it's a man drawing women, but what do you say about when he's drawing?
We'll go back to that. Go back to that post.
Okay, let's just open it.
Yeah, so click on the Riri Williams one.
This one got a lot of heat.
Yeah, so I don't know if because things go by so fast these days. But when this cover was released, this did get a lot of heat because it was the sexualization of a teenage girl, right? That was the argument. And I get that argument to a certain degree, but at the same time, I walk in the local mall And and sometimes I see the teen girls look like that, or even more sexualized, if you will. All you have to do is scroll on Instagram and or go on Twitch, and you'll see that all over the place, right?
Oh, right here. I have a Twitch girl right here. Her name is Jenilyn Miara. I mean, there you go.
Right.
There you
And
go.
now I don't know if she's underage or not,
No,
but
she's over 20, but
right.
still.
But some of these girls are not, right?
Oh,
Some
yeah.
of them are just teenagers, and they want to look pretty. They want to look, they some people, some teens like to dress like that, right? And so he drew her like that. Now, in the 90s, this would have been completely 100% acceptable. The thing is now is that we're in 2019, and there are people that find this to be very uncomfortable, and they're making their opinions known, and they have a right to do that. Again, if you don't like something, you have a right to say that you don't like something. And with this cover, I believe this cover got taken down, and he was he redrew her in the armor, right? So this cover did get released, but it was redone with her in the Iron Man, Ironheart sort of armored suit, and then it came out. So yeah, once in a while, things like this happen, where you look at, say, your target audience, right? The target audience who's going to buy this comic, and if what they see on the cover applies to them, you know. So I'm not a person who buys Ironheart. I don't collect Riri Williams, right? I'm not, I didn't even buy Iron Man with Tony Stark, But maybe a 15-year-old girl is buying this book, and maybe she'll look at that cover and go, no, that's not for me. That doesn't reflect me. And because in comic books, just like the rest of our entertainment now, there's this very strong call to have representation, and everyone wants to feel like that they can relate to the characters that they're watching.
Yeah, I totally agree. And here's the thing that people forget: we live in a day and age where if you don't like something, you can watch something else and find something else that you identify with. Leighton Watson says, Tyler, since you bring up Instagram, do you think fans would be outraged if women in comics were drawn like Instagram models? Do you think the same arguments would apply since their crew women are in? Well, let's just go to this Instagram model real quick. She's a little thicker. She's not like freaking what's it like a J. Scott Campbell cover, and we're gonna end that picture. But I that's, and here's the thing is, it's not, no one I think is going to get angry if the woman is a little thicker. I mean, when I think of Wonder Woman, I do think of a thicker woman who has muscles, who's going to kick the crap out of me. What a lot of people are complaining about, I think, is just the fact that these are and this is where I'm going to get into some interesting territory, and if I offend you, I'm so sorry, but I don't care. Go eat an apple after what I say. I think the people who are offended are either, one, I don't think they're real fans of the genre. I think they're just looking for like something to be outraged. And two, I just think that they're angry because this isn't here we go. I've never seen a fat dude, a bigger, larger dude, get angry at the fact that Batman is ripped.
Okay. So there's a lot to go over there with everything you just said. Yeah, I don't really see guys complain about that. What was the first part, though? Remind me what you just said there.
I don't think that a lot of the haters are even comic book fans.
All right. Yeah. Right. So that's, I mean, I'm not going to make that generalization. I'm willing to say that some of them probably are not, but I'm willing to say that maybe some of them do buy comics and this isn't for them. Because I've talked to people like that.
But do you think they buy the book, though? Do you think they buy the book?
In some cases, right?
Okay.
Like there's exceptions to everything. On the norm, I really don't know, and that's why I'm hesitant to comment on something like that. But I can tell you this, like, just from my own experience selling my own comic book, which has sexy, NYOBI images on the front, is that a lot of women were buying my comic, right?
Really?
Yeah, man.
Why?
Why? Because some women just like the sexy dude. It's true. And if you look at some of the female artists that are going right now that draw sort of sexy looking women, You know, they're out there. There's all kinds of them. You know, in fact, the person that colors a lot of J. Scott Campbell's artwork is a person by the name of Nay Rufino, right? There's also the great Ula Moss, you know, and these are females who color this sort of pinup art all the time. Ula Moss does work for Big Dog Inc., and she does the most beautiful sort of pinup art that you'll see. Paul Green, the guy who did my NYOBI variant cover, maybe I can show that a little later, but he has a style very similar to J. Scott Campbell. In fact, in these threads, they mistake Paul Green's art for J. Scott Campbell, right? That's how, you know, that's how little research that they were doing into the artists that they were picking on. But, you know, Ula Moss colored that piece for me, you know? So there are females that like this stuff, you know.
The chat's blowing up with people. Joelle Jones, Nicola Scott, Babs Tarr, Becky Cloonan.
Yeah, right. Sia she does work for Aspen, does some gorgeous looking ladies, you know. Blake Norcott, who's a writer in Canada, you know, came under fire for a Kickstarter she had with a you know, nice looking woman on the front. Now she didn't.
Oh yeah, that was a big story, and it's like a woman. This is a woman who's in charge of this.
Right. So there's a market for everything for everybody. There's room on the shelf for everything for everybody, right? This is my motto. There's room on the shelf for J. Scott Campbell, but there's also room on the shelf for the artist that draws Squirrel Girl. You know what I mean?
Or Faith by Valiant.
Right. So you buy what you like and you vote with your wallet. You know, you don't try and go out on a social media tirade to get someone fired from their job, right? This is kind of where the cancel culture comes into play here. I don't like this small mob mentality that goes out on Twitter and tries to ruin someone's life. You know.
So I'm gonna also say this as well with people who get angry with Squirrel Girl and like these like and Moon Girl and these like, you know, kind of cheesy like comics that, you know, I personally don't read. I don't think you read them, Larry. But my cousin's daughter, she's like 10 or 12. She's starting to get into comics, and that's what she reads.
Right.
And she loves them.
Well,
she can't get enough of them. And because she's into them, hopefully in a couple of years as she grows up, she'll get into more mature comics.
Well, here's the thing that this kind of circles back to something I said earlier about target audience. Okay. So that Riri Williams, I don't think is a target audience comic for men, right? Just like I don't think, you know, Moon Girl is, right? So for an image like that to be on a book that's maybe targeting younger children, I think there's a point there and there's an argument to be made for that, right? But let's say the book is Lady Death by Brian Pulido. Well, I don't think those books are aimed at children, you know? And so
Definitely
for an image by J. Scott Campbell to grace the cover of Lady Death is far more acceptable, you know what I mean? Than something that's aimed at, say, a 10-year-old girl. So I think context of the book matters in regards to doing a cover for it. If it's a book meant for children, maybe you shouldn't have the sexy cheesecake art on it. If it's a book meant for, the male demographic, 18 to 35 sort of thing, then yeah, sure, go ahead and do that. You know, that's what they like and that's what they're going to buy. Cool.
People like look at these kind of books and they say, oh my gosh, like these children, like they're going to be reading this. And it's like, no, these children aren't reading these books. And if they are, you're a bad parent. It's a sexy cover. And if you go inside, there's typically a lot of blood and gore in these fantasy books.
I think that there's an art book. If you actually pop me on camera for a second, I'll show you something.
Do you have this exact one?
No, I don't have that exact one. But I do have this one.
Oh, there you go.
Right. And yeah, obviously you're not selling this to a 10-year-old girl, you know. That's clear. It's even signed by him as well.
Can you open up to some of the pages in there? Because that's probably show us like one, it's definitely men who are going to be interested in this. I think also students of our art.
So again, there's your Disney influence, right? Maybe a little bit more, you know, amped up than Disney. But you know, here's Spider-Gwen. There's nothing wrong with these Spider-Gwen. You know what I mean?
I'm offended.
Are you? Does that really bother you there, Tyler?
No, that's actually a really good drawing.
Right. It depends on who you're marketing to. like Vampirilla, right? Vampirilla is obviously probably not marketed to 10-year-old girls.
Yeah,
Probably marketed to men,
I remember this cover because I remember seeing the bottom girl's butt.
Right.
Leighton Watson brings up a good point with all of these attacks. He says, "Don't attack the artist. Their art doesn't say who they are as a person."
No, it doesn't. And if you ever watched any interviews with J. Scott Campbell, he seems to be a very down-to-earth, genuine guy. I'm going to show you another book here. And this is a book I recommend to everyone who really wants to understand the man, honestly. This here is called the J. Scott Campbell Time Capsule, okay? And this book is not an art book. This book is the history of J. Scott Campbell covering his time in comics from 1994 to 2004. And this is a history lesson in comic books, my friends. This shows how he got his start, what he was influenced by, lots of interviews and stories by him in this book, okay? And I'm just going to, maybe, he was a big Transformers fan growing up. He was a huge Transformers fan growing up. He loved this stuff, man. And this is just like some of the, early, J. Scott Campbell in here. Yeah, I mean, he got into comics influenced by the great Arthur Adams. Art Adams, okay? Art Adams is a legend in this business. Now, this cover here, where's my hand? Right there. That is for X-Men Annual number 10. That is the comic, Tyler, that got me in the comics. Right.
Wow.
So when I read this book and I go, J. Scott Campbell loved Star Wars and he loved Transformers, and this is the book that got him in the comics, and that's the book that got me in the comics. Man, again, this comes back to being able to relate to someone. I relate to this guy like 100%, man. And he talks about how he grew up as a child, right? And you just kind of go through his entire life with him, up until, again, like 2004. And, here's some of his, Disney, influences, right?
Well, yeah, he talks a lot about the fact that he is very heavily influenced by Disney.
Yeah.
And he enjoys cartooning. Like, that's what he's a comic book artist, but he's making cartoons.
He was in the Nintendo magazine for art, like.
Oh, wow.
Nintendo Power. Remember that?
That's old.
Well, yeah, I'm starting to feel old, dude, but, look, here's another character that he was, likes to draw. Tinkerbell from Disney.
Yeah.
Let me be very clear. He didn't design Tinkerbell. You know what I mean? Disney designed Tinkerbell, and Tinkerbell was a pretty sexy looking little fairy, like.
But you know what? But here's the thing that people forget about comic books. Comic books, you judge a book by its cover. And J. Scott Campbell's covers, they sell.
They do sell. This is why he's a legend in the business now. This is why he's so in demand at cons. I was supposed to meet J. Scott Campbell at the Calgary Fan Expo that just went by. So I bought the entire J. Scott Campbell package, right? I was going to be able to meet him, take a photo with him, get 3 comics signed, and this was going to give me, Tyler, my opportunity to show him NYOBI. You know what I mean? But he ended up canceling that appearance, which really, really sucked. And so I've never met the man yet. But one day, dude, I'm going to catch up with him somewhere, somehow. And, I'm going to give him a copy of NYOBI just like I gave a copy of NYOBI to Todd McFarlane. You know what I mean? Like, and Stan Lee, for that matter. I gave one to Stan before he passed, too. So
is he just so in demand? Is that why he doesn't do any interiors for the most part anymore?
Yeah, and he'll do interiors once in a while for his own Danger Girl book. Like a couple of years ago, I bought a 4-part miniseries of Danger Girl, and he did all the interior art for it. But yeah, he's so in demand for cover. Here, look, let me show you a couple of things. The wedding issue for X-Men, right? The wedding special.
Oh, that's cool.
He's Marvel for one. Like J. Scott Campbell does a lot of stuff for Marvel, and this is what they were. When people were making these negative posts about J. Scott Campbell, a lot of times they were tagging Marvel in it, right? Because they want Marvel to not deal with J. Scott Campbell, and this again comes where the whole cancel culture comes into play. And so there's the actual wedding that took place. That was between Rogue and Gambit. And these aren't from his store. These were on the shelves at your local comic book shop. Okay. Here's X-Men Black. I have this as a poster on my wall. You know, the comic book inside not so great, but the cover was. Here's, you know, we saw this Spider-Gwen image in the art book. I actually have this book. It's a Midtown Comics exclusive. J. Scott. This here is from the Stan Lee store of Spider-Gwen. Okay. This one here is from the J. Scott Campbell web store. This one's signed by Campbell. So this is a beautiful. This is the only time I ever ordered something from the Campbell web store, and it comes with a certificate as well. Right. So that's pretty cool. You know, X-Men #1, the all-female X-Men team. This is a Midtown Comics exclusive. And then there's this. This is like Secret Wars. And this is like all the variations of Jean Grey and the clone Madeline Pryor. Beautiful, awesome cover, you know.
And they sell. People like this.
People do like this. And, well, I like it, obviously. And, God, yeah, I was on a train of thought, Tyler. You took me right out of it, but that's okay. Well, no, I got it. It came back to me. Some people are collectors of art. Okay, some people will follow an artist and not a story. You know, when Todd McFarlane was drawing Spider-Man, you know, people came to him because he was drawing Spider-Man. Like, he had his run on the Hulk, and people loved the run on the Hulk, and then he jumped to Spider-Man, and people who followed him on the Hulk went over to Spider-Man and started following it. And then when he came out with Spawn, you know, those Spider-Man readers at the time, you know, from like 298 and up, you know, like he did up until like 316 or something, they all jumped over to Spawn, you know, because they were following artists. When Rob Liefeld switched the book, his fans weren't fans of what they were reading, as more they were fans of the artist, right? So Rob Liefeld fans would jump from book to book, you know. I think J. Scott Campbell fans are like that in the sense that they collect covers. And a lot of these covers, if you start looking at a different sort of aspect of comic books, is the speculation market and the buying and selling and trading of comics, especially when it comes on eBay. And when you go ahead and say you do something like this, and you start getting your comic books in slabs, okay? We're talking about graded comic books here. This is a J. Scott Campbell book done by PGX, came in at a 9.4. So people will get these books slabbed and preserve the quality, get a grade on these books, and then go ahead and turn around and sell these books on eBay. And some of these covers go for a pretty penny, my brother. Some of these could almost be looked at as an investment or at least a quick flip. You know, you buy something for, you know, $40, you sell it for 100. You know what I mean? Like,
oh wow.
So this is a whole market of comic books that I think independent comic book creators don't even think about. I used to be part of a lot of groups on YouTube that would talk about this sort of stuff all the time. You know, I sold a variant cover. It wasn't J. Scott Campbell, but it was Greg Lamb. It was a 1 out of 50 variant cover for the first appearance of Spider-Gwen, okay? So this is Edge of Spider-Verse #2 by Greg Lamb. That went for $1,000 on eBay. My comic book shop sold it for me. I brought it in, and this is all true, man. I can even show you the PayPal receipt. I brought it in. I said to my comic shop, I said, I'm aware this book is worth some money. I said, I know you guys got an eBay account. I said, you know, I got one, but, you know, I haven't made any sales on it, but you guys sell and buy shit all the time. Can we, you know, I'll give you a small fee, right? Put it up. You guys sell it for me, you know, basically a consignment, you know what I mean? They sold it in 5 minutes, man. I was in the car and I get a message on the phone saying, come pick up your money. You know?
My gosh.
And so they took 20%, which is fair. I took the rest and I put that money right into NYOBI. So,
and there you go. That's, I mean, comics, guys. Comics is an art form. People are wanting art. People like to buy and sell art, and this is just the way the world. This is how things are working these days. And whether or not you like it or not, if you don't like J. Scott Campbell's art, if you are offended by these things, you can go find a different book. You can find a different book that suits you. I don't read most of Marvel and I don't read most of DC, but guess what? I can find something that's for me and I can read it. And if you can't find that stuff, you can find an indie book created by creators like Larry and I. And if our books are what you want, then you can get our books.
Yeah, I mean, here, you know, going back to the comic books are money comic books. This cover here is one of his more famous covers, right? I think that, you know, whenever you do a J. Scott Campbell search on the internet, you're going to see this cover. This is
Oh yeah, I found that a couple times.
this is at least a $50 book, at least, probably more now. I've had a lot of people try and give me $50 for this book and take it out of my collection, and you know I just won't sell it because I love it. But at least a $50 book.
Oh wow. You guys know what's a $75 book? It's Demons, Volume 1, 2, and 3, which is currently out on Indiegogo. There's no J. Scott Campbell book, but there's cover, but there's 300 pages worth of comics, supernatural storytelling, if you will. And yeah, we need to get some backers so we can fund this book. Link is in the chat. They're really, honestly, Larry, there's a book for everyone, and I just don't get why cancel culture needs to happen. It doesn't need to happen. It shouldn't happen. It's wrong. And it's very let people decide through their dollar. If people don't want J. Scott Campbell anymore, he won't be back. He'll put out a couple, he'll soon get washed out and someone else will replace him. But currently, people like J. Scott Campbell are killing it.
He ain't going anywhere.
He's not.
He's not going anywhere. He posted on his Twitter, thanking everyone for the support, and he, flat out said he's going to continue doing what he loves to do. He's in so high in demand, and it's very interesting for me to see, these people, and I don't know how many of them are comic book creators or they're just, fans or whatnot. But J. Scott Campbell obviously is a man, not only is he in very high demand, but he has a lot of connections in this industry. When you start your career with Jim Lee, I think you know some people. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He's not going anywhere, man.
He knows the right people. He's doing the right thing. And here's the thing. Let's say he gets canceled. Let's say people do cancel. All he has to do is put out a book on Kickstarter.
Oh, dude, he would kill it.
He'd kill it.
Look, he would own that like Brian Pulido does with Lady Death. And I'm talking if he did the interiors. I'm not just talking a cover, right? I'm talking like if J. Scott Campbell put out his own thing on Kickstarter. Yeah, man, I think that would do extremely well. Especially, sometimes when you get controversy, not all the time is it bad. J. Scott Campbell said, "Geez, I got 5,000 new followers on Twitter in the last 2 days. I wonder what happened." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing is controversy brings up two sides of an opinion, and then the people who are pro his opinion might not even know him. So now he has 5,000 new fans who are like, "Oh, I didn't even know about you, but I'm on your side, dude, and I'm going to buy your work."
Right. It's like, "Oh man, actually, this is pretty cool." You know what I mean? So again, there's something for everybody, right? I don't want to come off as cross as like, this art and this art only. Not at all. I'm saying there's something for everybody. There's room on the shelf for everybody. And if you don't like it, vote with your wallet. If something doesn't sell, guess what? They won't make it anymore, right? That's usually how it goes,
No, for sure.
So, vote with your wallet.
For sure. Well, maybe we can end this last 13 minutes. We can talk about, we can talk about Demons, but we can also talk about NYOBI, which you've been showing me. You've been showing me artwork of the new Birthright series.
Yeah.
Let's talk about sexy covers. This is a freaking satisfying cover.
Well, I guess you can see why I'm defending Mr. Scott, right? If someone was to look at this cover and they didn't really know any better, they'd probably say that's a J. Scott Campbell cover.
To the untrained eye.
The untrained eye, yeah. And see, Paul Green is the guy who did this cover, and he got mistaken for J. Scott Campbell on a variety of tweets that went on last week. He did a cover of a cosplay of Ray for Zenoscope, and then on the unmodded version, Ray was topless, and they tried to blame that on J. Scott Campbell. It was actually a Paul Green piece. You know what I mean? Because Paul Green, if you look at some of his other artwork, he has a style that is very close to J. Scott Campbell, And I discovered Paul Green by doing web searches for J. Scott, and his art would creep up in those searches every now and then. I'm like, oh, this guy's really good. And he does exclusive covers for Zenoscope. He does work with Molly Schofield, who does Mutant Chasers and those books on the indie scene on Facebook. He's done work for he's done Lady Death work, right? So check this out, man. This right here. Good. I'm gonna have to search for it. This here is a chromium cover, of Lady Death by Paul Green, right? Check that out, man. Is that not gorgeous, dude?
And did you have to wait a year for that book?
God, no, man. Brian Polito pumps these things out every couple of months, dude. And it's signed by Brian up there.
That's
But
a beautiful cover.
what I'm saying is again, to the untrained eye, this could look like a J. Scott Campbell cover. You know what I mean? And J. Scott has worked for Lady Death as well. So it's a beautiful cover. And man, so I'm proud to say that, you know, I got a person doing an NYOBI cover who did this, you know, like.
Oh yeah, that looks absolutely amazing.
And so with that cover, this is going to be this is coming out on the next Kickstarter, and this is going to be you know, limited edition variant sort of thing. And we're, you know, it's going to be, you know, a couple more bucks than cover A, but it's going to be available, man, and it's going to be sweet. Now we have another cover which I'll release later by Steph Wilson. So if you're on Facebook and you follow people like Rob Anderson or Tom Hutchinson or Jesse Witchman or some of these you know, people in the industry, you'll know who Steph Wilson is because Steph Wilson's art keeps popping up. So Steph Wilson is doing a variant as well. RB White told me on a Facebook message that you know, to hit him up for a cover, you know, so RB White will be back on the project. And then Samir Simone, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, he's the internal artist for NYOBI, and he'll be doing a cover too, and he'll be doing cover A. So that means what you see on the cover for the main cover is what you're going to get in the book. And then these other books, you know, with this sexy pinup art is going to be, you know, for the people that like that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's all. And I like that you do that. You give your customers options.
Yeah.
You know, are you wanting the cover A or do you want the sexy cover? And you decide.
Well, look, when Avani came out and RB White did this really hot cover of her, you know, coming out of the swimming pool, you know, I had some guys say to me, Larry, you know, I really like that cover, but the wife will kill me. You know what I mean? Like they gave me the, you know, the same thing that you said, right?
Dude, I know that I have that cover like ingrained in my mind. It is an intense cover.
Right. So with that being said, you know, I did a chibi cover, you know, so, hey, this won't get you in trouble with the wife. You know? So, you know, you got to take those things into account, right? You have to, you know, it's part of business, you know. Let me show you something here else. How do I do another screen share? Do I just stop this?
I have no idea.
Stop that. And I'm just going to screen share something else here. This is one of the pages. Now, you've probably seen this page 100 times, but your viewers might not. This page here is page 9 from the new NYOBI, right? And so this is kind of the style of art that's going to be in the interior now. And so,
is it going to be colored?
Yeah, dude. And I think his artwork looks cool just like this, but I've seen his art in color because I'm going to use the same colorist that he uses, like for previous books that he's worked on. Like this guy, you know, he's been in a few comics, you know. Again, he's a great artist from Brazil. And yeah, so that's just like, you know, I'll show you a couple of them. I won't show you the whole book, but that's a good one. You know what I mean? There's like a closer up look. You know, there's a lot of fine, little details. And, you know, obviously she's staring down the police. You know, something's going on here. You want to see another one, Tyler?
Dude, throw it up there. Throw it up there, man.
All right, let me kind of flip through them here and see what one would be a good one. Like I said, we have over half this book done, right? This one here is awesome. All right, we'll throw this one up. All right, let me see.
Christopher C says, "Is it wrong that Ty has cartoon girls in his highlight reel?"
All right, so I got this one up.
Oh, I love this. I love the perspective on panel 1, and just the city. I've seen all the other NYOBI books. This is like such a level up.
Yeah, this is a level up. Like, look at the portal that she's going through. Like, if you know anything about NYOBI, she creates portals for teleportation, right? And you know, she's rocking it on the bike, and that bike's gonna be colored red, just like the Akira bike, man.
Oh, that's sick.
And speaking of the Akira bike, let's see. This is just gonna flip through some stuff here as I go through.
Everyone screenshot every single one of these pages.
Look at that. Like, she's coming out of the portal doing the Akira slide. It's from a different angle, right? But
that's sick.
You know, and like she's coming right into this mob, you know, like where the police are and stuff like that, right? So.
No, I'm excited for this campaign.
Oh, okay. Since it just flashed by, there's the Steph Wilson cover. Right? That's pretty cheesecakey, right?
That's pretty cheesecakey.
Yeah, but you know,
Christopher C, put your hands up.
here's a new character that we're introducing in NYOBI named Ariel.
Oh, I love that.
Look at how he does the shadows from the window
No,
above.
dude, it's so good. By the way, you won't see me drawing like that. That is some next level crap.
And here's Ariel in her armor as she contemplates something pretty deep and heavy.
How many issues is the Birthright arc?
2.
2? That's awesome.
So I'll stop sharing there because there's so much more I could show, but I don't want to show it all, right?
No, you're good.
To buy it, you know, when it comes out on Kickstarter.
But you know what, though? I think this is good to get people hyped. I mean, I'm hyped. I'm hyped, and I can't wait to, get my copy and, have you on the stream when the book does come out. So, yeah, honestly, I just think, to wrap things up, guys, I just think, cancel culture is bad. Is J. Scott Campbell getting canceled? No. If you don't like something, go find something else. There's a million other things. If you can't find anything in the mainstream, find something in the indie scene. Larry and I are making books. There's tons of creators out there making books, amazing books. There's something out there for everyone. So yeah, guys, please go check out Demons Volumes 1, 2, and 3, currently on Indiegogo. Link in the description. Link.
Oh, what happened to Tyler? Where's Tyler? All right, I'm taking over the show, man. Link in the description below for Demons Volume 3, Indiegogo. You guys go ahead and you grab that right now, okay? Go ahead. Tyler works hard on this book, man. It needs some love. Indiegogo, there'll be a NYOBI Indiegogo as well, man. But yeah, get Demons Volume 3, Oh, and by the way, Tyler,
thanks for finishing that up for me. By the way, I hit something. I'm like, where did I
go? The 24-hour draw challenge, man, that was something else.
Oh, thanks. Did you read the comic?
How far did you guys get through it? Did you do the whole 24?
I did 18 hours, but I finished the full 24-page comic in 18 hours.
Now, is that the one you put up for free?
Yeah.
The one you talk about that, sell that one too.
Well, it's for free, guys. Actually, let me pull up the link real quick because it's up for grabs for everyone. I'll put the link out, and let me tell you, I'm never doing this again. I'm never ever doing this again. It was so
rough.
It was rough. Copy link. All right. So if you guys want to check out it's a free comic. There you go. Let me share my screen. It was Larry. It was rough. So here's the cover.
Hero saves lives. All right.
Hero saves lives. Heroes save lives by Tyler. And so I did this. I did this the next day. But here are the 24 pages.
See, I like that first shot right there, right? I like, you're breaking panels and stuff like that, dude. Like that's a good.
And it was hard, man, because you can't prepare a story beforehand, so you have to just go for it. So the way I cheated was this is a 2-page spread,
right?
So I could knock 2 pages out in an hour.
Tyler cutting the corners, eh?
Cutting the corners. But then what was the final part was scanning it all and then putting the gray tones in.
Right.
That was long. But yeah, it's about a superhero and he's fighting a supervillain, and the superhero gets his butt kicked by the supervillain and his robot. And
it's a good shot there where he's all laid out in the stone.
Jacked up. And and then the supervillain, transports our main dude through time, and he witnesses an event that happened 3 years ago where there's the villain before he was a supervillain, and he sees our main character fighting a supervillain, and he decides not to call for backup because he thinks he's strong enough to take on the supervillain. And what happens was that the supervillain throws out this huge ball of energy, and it kills takes out a big portion of the city. And you see this dad who's calling his son Sammy, where are you, and realizes that his son died in the blast. And so he spends the next 3 years, how you get superpowers in this world is you inherit it from another super being, and so he kills a bunch of superheroes in order to take their abilities. And the whole story is just dissecting, what constitutes as a hero. Is a hero rewarded based off the lives that he saved, or is it the number of deaths that have been caused because of him? And at the end, the super, there's another 2-page spread. I was getting super tired, and by the final page, here's the final page. I was done.
Like stick figures. Like,
yeah,
it's like mark where it goes off the page where Tyler like dropped off.
Well, right here, this is the final page. Like, I just gave up. I was like, I'm not doing anything else. Like, these are what these superheroes look like. I have no idea what they are. And then I had to throw in by demons.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, there's a free comic if you want to be reading it. Well, it looks like someone is currently reading it. You can download it for free, and it's yours. And just know I did this in 18 hours, and it was not fun. It was hard.
Maybe you have something here though, right? Like you take this idea, that you've done, and then I say we, I mean you, really flesh this out, right? And then just take your time with this. You could have something really cool here, dude.
Well, I mean, it's
not, but I mean, like, if you like really want to turn this into some sort of little series or something, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. Well, I mean, my plans. It's so interesting. I mean, and we'll probably talk off camera about this, but like next year, I just don't know what my plans are with this channel and also with comics in general. I'm getting a little peeved by all the drama and whatnot.
All right.
And yeah, but that's another conversation. And I'll probably be updating the channel and people in a month or so. The big thing is trying to figure out what life is going to be like as a parent, because my wife gives birth in like 2-3 weeks.
See that, dude, you're going to lose a lot of time, and so that's something you have to take into consideration. When you're doing comics, is like for me, and here we go. We're not even off air yet, but for me, I don't have wife and a child, right? And so I have a lot more free time than say someone that has a full-time job, has a family and a bunch of responsibilities. And then how do you fit in, especially if you're an artist, right? How do you fit in drawing comics? As a writer, it's not so bad, especially if you have a good idea and you just crank on it and you get it down, But as an artist, where it takes, a day or 2 days or 3 days to do a page, and that's if you're kind of cracking on it, let alone having to juggle the job, juggle the family, juggle everyday life. You know what I mean? So yeah, I hear you, man.
It's a lot. So yeah, it's going to be intense, but don't worry guys, we're not going anywhere. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Larry, where can people find you and where do people need to follow you?
Well, they can follow me here. I'm going to type it in the chat.
Okay, awesome.
Follow me by clicking the 3 little dots that's across from my name. It will take you to the NYOBI Comic channel, where I talk. Tyler, I started doing this thing, like I started doing comic book reviews, right? So I'm doing comic book reviews. I'm also doing comic book news, and this is where, if I just want to do a live show, I'll do a live show there. Or if I just want to give updates on my comic book, I'll do them there. I also have a gaming channel. It's called Rebel Gaming. So if you're a gamer and you like live gaming, it's kind of like my secondary channel. You can pop over there. But Tyler, I also got a third channel coming, man.
Do you? Wow.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how well it goes. I'm just going to try it. But me and a couple guys have been talking about doing a wrestling show, right?
Okay. You going to wrestle?
No. We're going to like AEW is starting up October 2nd. And so I'm going to start watching AEW wrestling because it seems really interesting to me. And I want to do kind of like a weekly show where I just get a couple of guys on and, we talk about professional wrestling, do like a wrestling, roundup week, of everything that we saw, watch, and like. Because I'm a huge professional wrestling fan. I was at the gym today. My gym music is like, Hulk Hogan's theme and Kurt Angle's theme and the Nexus theme and Ultimate Warrior. And it just gets me all amped up, dude, So it's called the Sidewalk Slam, and it's going to be, I already made the channel. I just have to kind of like launch it and do some graphics for it and stuff, but it'll be ready to go by October 2nd. And then once AEW very first show on TNT is done, then maybe either that night or the day later, I'm going to get some peeps on there and we're going to talk professional wrestling.
Gotcha. Well, hey, I mean, that's freaking awesome. So guys, go follow Larry on his YouTube channels. Did it end up on the chat? I can't see it through StreamYards.
What's that?
I'm making sure that your links were able to
Oh, I think they're fine. I got moderation power, so
Okay, awesome. Yeah, guys, let's make comics. Let's be happy. Let's be a little more positive. And remember to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Go check out Demons Volumes 1, 2, and 3 currently on Indiegogo. Thanks everyone for being awesome. I don't know the next time I'm going to be doing a YouTube video. It'll hopefully be either, if I don't do one this weekend because I've got family in town, then you'll see me on Monday and next Wednesday as well. So peace out. Go make comics, and let's end this broadcast. And we are